Namaste and a very warm welcome to everybody on the 10th day of the Global Festival of Yoga that is focusing on healing, well-being and wisdom. You've had a long journey with us already. We are 1/3 of the way down our festival and sincerely hope that you have been able to pick up some valuable tips for your own development and for your own well-being. So today we are very fortunate to have in our midst another very eminent speaker, Dr. Richa Chopra ji. Dr. Richa Chopra ji is welcome to you on this show. And Dr. Richa ji is like an elder sister, a very dear friend and a guide. And I have had the privilege of knowing her for this 1 year. And she has been an inspiration and an ideator of several programs, but I will also give you a more formal presentation of her background because it's a very illustrious background with a lot of accomplishments. So she's done her master's in child development and she holds a doctoral degree from the Faculty of Arts, Department of Psychology at the Guwahati University, along with an advanced diploma in child guidance and counseling. She was also the founding head of the Department of Contemplative and Behavioral Sciences at the Sri Sri University in Cuttack. This department is one of the pioneering departments in the country and if not in the world, because it sought to marry the two streams of psychology, the mainstream psychology from a Western perspective, and bring out the best of the contemplative traditions from the East. So it's a very special and unique course that she designed. And now she is the chief mentor and project lead at the Drishti Foundation for the MetLife Foundation, where she is working on a project called Swalamban to help in the empowerment and development of women in rural India and Bihar. She has been part of various committees, including the NAC committee, which has presented the yoga accreditation framework for higher education in institutions at the UN headquarters in April, which was also released by the minister. Most importantly, she's been a teacher of art of living for the last 20 years plus. And she's one of the most senior teachers who travels the world to over 11 countries, where she has inspired thousands of people to work towards their own happiness. So we are extremely fortunate that Richa ji is there with us this evening. And she's going to talk to us on a very important topic, which is pacifying the storms of emotion, the yogic way. So for these few words, there's lots to be said about her, but I will stop here so that you can get to hear from her directly. So Richa ji, thank you very much and look forward to your session. Just a small note, if you have any questions, please feel free to put them in the Q&A sessions like you've been doing. And we'll take up the questions in the last 15 minutes of the session today. So thank you very much.
Namaste to everyone and thank you, Dr. Anuradha, for this beautiful, profound introduction. And it's always a joy to be a part of the Indica Forum. And it's an honor and a privilege to be on this platform and to be able to share some of my experiences with all co-seekers, co-walkers on this path of yoga, or those who are still contemplating to be a part of this whole journey of yoga. Am I audible and visible to everybody? You can just please let me know if my sound is fine.
Yes, please go ahead.
Okay. So when I was approached that what topic would I would like to talk about on this forum, I thought that emotions and the storm of emotions is something that most of us, I would say, have been challenged with in our lives. And it is of prime importance for each one of us to really know how to handle these emotions. So I thought that it would be nice to talk about the storms of emotions. And the good news is how we can ourselves handle these storms of emotions. So in this session of 1 hour, it is 7:07 by the Indian Standard Time. I would just give a small glimpse of understanding what the mind is, how does the mind work, and how is the mind understood through the Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, and what are the different pointers from the Yoga Sutras that clearly spell as to how the mind can both serve as a tool and to reach the goal of a mind, which is absolutely free from all the modulations, or at least one becomes a witness to the modulations of the mind. So we will take questions and answers in the end. And if time permits, we will also have a small experiential meditation on transforming emotions. And that is what the flow of the entire session will be. So I would invite all of us to, of course, interact in the session. Either we could ask the questions in the last, or we could also, I think it'll be better if we take the questions in the end so that we can all be here. So when we look at the human life, each one of us, I'll keep the session very, in a very understandable format, because I'm not too sure how many of us are at which stage of our journey of yoga and the practice of spirituality. So I'll keep it very, very simple so that at least each one of us can relate to the session. That is very important, that we are able to relate to the session and relate to our personal journey as human beings. So when we look at the human life, each one of us, we all have a physical body, a gross physical body, right? In the sense that the body made up of flesh and bones and the gross physical body, each one of us has, right? Now, we are not just the body, not just the physical body. There is the other dimension, and that is the dimension of the breathing. It may not be visible, the breath is not visible the way the body is visible, but we can certainly feel, we certainly know that there is this inhalation and the exhalation that is constantly happening in each one of us, right? And if this doesn't happen, the body is not alive. So we have a physical body, yes. We have the other level of our existence, which is the breathing, which is so, so important. It is another story that many of us are not aware of our breath unless we have a stuffy nose or we are walking uphill. But yes, the breath goes on in and out all the time, and that is what is keeping the body alive. So that is the second level of our existence. Over and above to our physical body and the breath, we have the mind. Now, if I ask everybody, do we have a mind? Yes, we have a mind. If I say, show me your mind, it will be extremely difficult to pinpoint what the mind is. Of course, if I have a body, it can be, it is seen. It can be seen, right? If I say, show me the breath, may not be seen, but yes, we know that yes, somewhere around the nostrils, there is an inhalation and the exhalation going on. If I say, show the mind, we do not know how and where to pinpoint the mind. Yes, I hope everybody is there with me. That is important. But certainly we have the mind. Now, what is the mind? Where is the mind? It is certainly all over the place, right? Now, what is the mind? It's very important to understand what is the mind. What is the mind? If I say, are you able to observe something all the time with your eyes? Yeah? So the answer would be not many a times. Even though my eyes are open, I'm not able to see things many a times. This would have been the experience of many of us. Many a times we hear the sounds are all clear and loud on our ears. But if we say, what did you hear? there is no registry, no registration of what we heard. So that means to really be able to see things, hear things, smell things, taste things, we need the 5 sense organs plus the mind. I'm sure we all understand and we agree to this. So mind is the perceptive ability. So mind perceives the information from the world through the 5 senses. If the mind is not there with the 5 senses, we are not able to take in that information as much as we can if the mind is there. So it's the perceptive ability. It is certainly very, very important to see, to smell, to hear. It is because of the mind plus the 5 sense organs, right? Now, when the information is taken inside us through the 5 sense organs plus the mind, yes, then the next thing that happens is this good? Is this not good? There is a judgmental aspect to whatever information goes through the mind and the 5 senses. So that is the intellect, right? For example, right now, you have seen me, you have heard me, and that is by virtue of the eye and the mind. You have heard me by virtue of the ear and the mind, right? Now, a judgment is very normal. In the normal thing, a judgment would be coming, oh, she's interesting, or she's not interesting, she's beautiful, she's not beautiful, whatever information is being taken through the 5 senses in the mind right now, it is being compartmentalized into good, bad, right, wrong. That is the intellect. And as human beings, we have the intellect also. So we have the physical body, we have the breath, we have the mind that works through the senses, and we have the intellect that gives some kind of analytics, I would say, to the information that goes through the mind and the 5 senses. Then we also have the memory. We are able to remember things. Yes, good, bad, that is a separate story. But we do have the faculty of memory. All of us have. We remember things from the past. Yes, and whether it is positive things, negative things, again, that's a separate story. But we do have the memory, and it's a faculty in us. Over and above to that, we have the sense of I am. No? The very fact that if I say I am Richa, or I am Dr. Anuradha, or I am Venayaji, so that means we see each of us as separate entities from one another. That what gives us this separateness, that identity, we call it as ego. It could be, ego could be due to a superiority, it could be due to inferiority. Anything that distincts me from the other is the ego. So as human beings, irrespective of which part of the world we belong to, we all have a physical body, we have a breath, we have a mind, we have an intellect, we have a memory, we have an ego. And then there is something in me, there is something in all of us, which is aware the change in the body. If I ask this question, has your body changed? All of us will say, yeah, my body has changed in the last 10 years. Has your mind changed? Yes, all of us will agree. Yeah, the mind has changed. Earlier, it was too jumpy, too restless. But now I think I'm very, very focused. Has your intellect changed? Yes. The answer would be yes. My intellect has changed. Maybe earlier it was very strategic, and now my intellect is very, very innocent, or vice versa. As your memory changed? Yes. Earlier, I was too much filled with negativity. Now I have so much of positive memories, or vice versa. So there is something in me, in each one of us, that is a witness of the changes in my own body, in my own breath, in my own mind, in my own memory, in my own ego. Maybe I would feel very distinct from each other earlier, but now I feel one with everybody. Or I felt one with everybody earlier, and now I feel the separateness from each other. So there is certainly something in me which is aware of all my 6 levels of existence. It is seeing the changes in these 6 levels of my existence, but it itself is not changing. Because I can only see change against something which is not changing. So this sense of awareness, this sense of permanency in me, beyond my body, breath, mind, intellect, ego, we call that as the self. So things outside me are changing in my outer environment. Things in me are changing, right from the change of my body to my breath to my mind. This is all changing, and I am a witness to these changes. Yes, so I just wanted to give a small foundation as to how the human being can be seen. How do we see ourselves? And the good part of the story now begins here. Let me show another example, not an example, just to give you another concept of objectivity and subjectivity. Supposing I am holding a small book in my hand, right here. Yeah. So if I ask this question, what is the object and what is the subject? Definitely, we will say, oh, the book is the object because I can see it. It is measured. I can see it. This is the object. And what is the subject? Oh, my eyes are the subject, right? Now, if I squeeze my eyes, expand my eyes, yeah, wear glasses on my eye, yeah, what happens? What becomes the object now? My eyes have become the object, right? And who is the subject? My mind is the subject, because my mind is aware that my eyes are now squeezed, my eyes are now relaxed. So the mind becomes the subject and the eye becomes the object. Now, if I say, let's close our eyes, yes, and in this next 1 minute, are you aware of all the contents of your mind? Can you journal your mind? Can you write the contents of your mind right now? Yes, can you journal what is happening? I'm sure most of us will be able to do. Oh, in my mind, this is happening. Oh, my mind is imagining. Oh, my mind is caught up in something. Oh, my mind is wanting to move. So the contents of my mind can be known to me or is known to me. So that means if I'm able to see what is happening in my mind, the mind has become the object, and there is something beyond the mind, which is now the subject. Now, when I say mind, in the mind, I take mind, intellect, memory, and ego. I combine all the four and I call it as the mind. So every human being has the capability and the ability to know what is happening in one's mind that cannot be known to anybody else but me alone. I'm sure we agree to this. No outside questionnaire, no test, nothing can be as precise as me objectively knowing what is happening in my own mind. This is called the first person inquiry. Yes. So when I can be aware of my own mind contents, whether it is positive, whether it is negative, whether it is however it is, if I'm aware of my attitudes, my beliefs, the content of my mind, if I'm aware about it, that means the awareness is separate from the mind. And that is why I'm aware of it. This is the paradigm of contemplation. What is contemplation? It's a metacognition. We are cognizant about our own mind stuff. We are cognizant about our own cognitive aspects. What is cognition? In Western psychology, or the way we understand cognition, is all the mental processes. Mental processes could be by virtue of perception. Mental processes could be by virtue of attention. Higher mental processes could be by virtue of creativity, memory. And I, as a human being, I am aware of my mental processes, right? So cognition about my own cognition is metacognition, and that is contemplation. Contemplation can happen through so many ways. Here we are talking about contemplation through yoga. Right? So if we are all clear on this, so first I talked about our levels of existence as human beings, the physical body, the breath, the mind, intellect, memory, ego, and there is something which is aware of all these six. It itself is not changing, but aware of all the six. Yes, and then I spoke about mind being encompassing the mind, the sensory, the manas, the intellect part, the memory part, and the ego part, and I call it as the mind. And then I spoke about the subjective, objective paradigm of when we look at something, what is seeing is the subject and what is being seen is the object. And we just saw through this example, then the mind can be seen, the mind can be observed, and that is why the mind is the object. Mind is the tool. The way the physical body can be cultivated through the right diet, through the right exercises. Likewise, the good news is the mind with the intellect, memory, ego can also be cultivated with the right food. And that food is not the food that we eat only through the mouth, through the other four doors, that is the eye, the ears, and everything. It can be cultivated. The very fact that I am an observer of my own mind means that I can work on my mind to cultivate it the way I want to and not succumb to the gimmicks of my own mind. That is the good news. And that makes each one of us feel very empowered. Otherwise, we feel the mind is all over the place and I'm succumbing to my own mind. Let's understand the nature of the mind. Each one of us, irrespective, our mind, this moment right now, if we see, our mind is vacillating in the past or the future, I'm sure. Yes, yes, yes. Physically, we may be here, but the mind is thinking of something in the past or it is in the future. Let's see, when our mind goes to the past, just see or check your own mind and see whenever our mind has gone to the past, there are a series of different kinds of emotions, and many a times it is regret. Oh, I should not have done this. This should not have happened. I'm not saying they're not joyful emotions when the mind goes in that past, but we have this feeling of remorse and regret when it goes to the past. When the mind goes to the future, generally we have anxiety, insecurity. What will happen tomorrow? Yes. So when the mind with its nature goes to the past and the future, we have associated different emotions pop up with the mind going to the past and the future. When we were kids, as small children, we were in the present moment, isn't it? Totally in the present moment. And that is why we were so happy. So happy, so much in the present moment. And all these emotional storms that keep rising up in us, is because of the tendency of the mind not being able to hold itself in the present moment. I'm sure we all agree. Just see it in your life. The emotions are so linked to the nature of a mind. And the second characteristic of the human mind, one is past and future. The second characteristic of the human mind is it clings to the negative. In my life, if there are 10 good things, one not such good thing happening, the mind will go to what is not good. I'm sure we all agree to that, isn't it? Yes. So when the mind is not in the present, when the mind has a tendency to cling what is not, it has a tendency. That's how it is. So what happens? All different kinds of emotions start to arise in us. And what are the different emotions that we all experience as human beings? Most of us, either it is insecurity, anxiety, jealousy, hurt, anger, remorse, guilt. And I'm sure each one of us has struggled with all these emotions, all of us as human beings. But the only difference is some of us have been able to really cultivate our mind well, and some of us have not been able to cultivate well. We have given up and we have become victims of our own perception. Yes. So when we talk of pacifying the storms of emotions, the yogic way, it is really amazing how the human mind has been so beautifully understood from the lens of our Indic knowledge system. And here I'm referring specifically to Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, almost 5,000 years back. And how such practical ways have been given to really cultivate our mind. Remember, the good news, if I can say it in a layman's language, is the ability to watch our mind as an object and keeping that distance from the mind. And then we are able to culture and cultivate the mind. So what I will do now is, there are a couple of shlokas from the Yoga Sutras. Of course, it has 195 aphorisms into and across 4 different chapters. We don't have the time and the platform right now to go through it. It's oceanic. But I did pick up a couple of sutras from the Yoga Sutras, Patanjali's Yoga Sutras, just to understand how beautifully it talks about the mind, the nature of the mind, and it has given such beautiful glimpses as to how through different practices the mind can be cultivated. Yes, so we will quickly go through some of the aphorisms. These are in Sanskrit, and I have requested Dr. Anuradha to read out the shloka. She's a Sanskrit Pandita, and I would just explain that shloka in just 1 or 2 lines for us to be able to appreciate. The whole idea of this session is that we start understanding that Yoga Sutras is all about having an even mind, to have a balanced mind, to have a harmonious, peaceful mind, and to be able to live in this world. So I'll just show you certain insights, and I'm sure we'll be able to appreciate it. Just please give me 1 second and let me know if my screen is visible. Yes, please let me know if my screen is visible.
Not yet. Yeah. No.
Not yet. 1 minute. Okay, is it visible now?
Yes.
Yeah. So we are just going through some of the shlokas from a Yoga Sutra, just to have an appreciation of this knowledge so that we can deep dive into this. Yes, Dr. Anuradha, can I request you to just read the first shloka?
Atha yoganushasanam.
So here it says, of course, there have been different commentaries on the Yoga Sutras, and I have referred to Gurudev's, Sri Sri Ravi Shankarji's version of how he sees this. It says that, let me enunciate now on the discipline of yoga. It means that yoga is a discipline. Shasana is something which is imposed on us, and anushasana is something which we put ourselves onto. And yoga is one such discipline to bring the mind to a collected state. So understand, it is a discipline. It needs efforts to come to that state of a yogi. It just doesn't happen on its own. The way the physical body cannot grow and be cultured on its own, the same way it needs efforts, it needs certain discipline to come on to that state of yoga. Yes.
Yogaschitta vritti nirodhaha.
So what is yoga? Yes. So what is yoga? It is the restraining the modifications or the tendencies that arise in our mind. If we see our mind, it has certain modulations. Right? The mind either imagines, or the mind is caught up in some proof, or it is caught up in some wrong knowledge, or it is in lamenting onto some past memory. So these are certain modulations of the mind which keep popping up, and that is called vritti. And what is yoga? It is the restraining of these vritti, chitta vritti nirodha, consciousness, mind stuff in which the consciousness in which the vrittis are restrained. That is the definition of yoga.
Vritti sarupyamitharatra.
And what happens when the mind is not resolved or silenced or purified because of the vritti, especially the klishta vrittis, the problematic vrittis? And then what happens? We become the object of our own perception. We start to associate ourselves with the vritti, and that becomes the reality of our lives. Yes. So see how beautifully the mind and the tendencies of the mind is so beautifully expounded in the Yoga Sutras. I've not taken all the sutras, just a few.
Vrittayah panchatayah klishta klishtaha.
So there are 5. Yeah. Yes. So there are 5 kind of modulations in the human mind, and they are 5 in number. 5. Some are painful and some are not painful. Some are klishta, some are not klishta. Some are not klishta. Painful and non-painful modulations of the human mind. 5 in number.
Pramana viparyaya vikalpa nidra smritayaha.
So what are these 5 modulations? As I just said, it is pramana, wanting a proof. Viparyaya is wrong knowledge. Vikalpa is imagination. Imagination could be joyful. It could be baseless fears. Right now I'm sitting here, I'm saying, oh, what happens if I have a disease tomorrow? That is vikalpa. I'm just imagining things which is not there. Nidra is sleep, and smritaya, the mind going on to the memory, holding on to the past. It's a modulation of the mind.
Tatra sthitau yatno bhyasaha.
So the continuous struggle, there may be certain mistakes in the English, please ignore that. I just focus on the corroborating statement that I've given. To really, the continuous struggle to keep the vrittis in control, it needs the tendencies, if we have to restrain it, it is a constant practice. It doesn't happen on its own. It's an abhyasa to really be able to keep the vrittis under restraint. So they're talking about this abhyasa. It needs practice. It needs practice.
This one, there is a slight variation from the text itself, but I'll read it out as it is in the text. Okay. So
yes.
Mridu madhyadhi matratvat tatopi visheshaha.
So yoga is not about the physical asana. I'm sure many of us understand that it is about having an even mind, a balanced mind, a happy mind. And how successful are we as yogis on this journey? It all depends on the intensity of our practice, whether it is a mild practice, medium practice, and intense practice. And practice is not on the physical level. It is, they're talking about the abhyasa at the mental level also.
Tasya vachakah pranavaha.
This is one of the ways to silence the mind, and here it is being talked about pranavaha, which is a sound that represents Om. And these are some of the ways that has been given in the Yoga Sutras on restraining the modulations of the mind.
Vyadhistyana samshaya pramadalasya virati bhranti darshana labda bhumikatvan avasthitatattvani chitta vikshepaste antarayaha.
In this, the obstacles on the path of yoga are 9. Vyadhi is the disease, the physical disease, illness. Sthana is the mental illness. Then Samshaya is the doubt. Doubt could be of three kinds when we are on the path of yoga. Doubt on oneself, doubt on the teacher, doubt on the technique. Pramada is carelessness, knowing something not to be done and we do it. Or knowing that something is to be done and we don't do it is pramada. Alasya is laziness. Aviratis is an obsession with the senses. Bhranti darshana is hallucination, false perception. Alabdha bhumi katva is the non-attainment of a state. And anavasti tattva is getting onto a state, but again, not being able to hold it. So as seekers on the path of yoga, these are the obstacles. So we are talking of the mind. If I divide this whole presentation into three, we're talking about the mind. What are the different challenges and the obstacles that come on the mind, and what are the solutions? What are the ways in which the mind can be cultured? So they're both coming together. Yeah.
Dukkha-daurmanasya angamejayatva shwasa prashwasa vikshepa sahabhuvaha.
So what happens when one meets these 9 obstacles? What are the signs of a disturbed mind? The first is dukkha. So as human beings, whenever we feel sad, dukkha, it is a sign that we have met with an obstacle. Second is daurmanasya. That is how Gurudev says, daurmanasya is bitterness, feeling bitter about things. Angamejayatva is no coordination of body and mind. Supposing I want to put sugar in the tea and I end up putting salt. So mind is saying something, body is doing something, that is angamejayatva. And then there is irregular breathing, shwasa prashwasa. So what happens is when I'm very happy, I take a long inhalation and a short exhalation. But when I am disturbed, when the mind is disturbed, it gets reversed. The inhalation becomes short and the exhalation becomes long. So if these signs are happening in my life, that I'm sad, I'm bitter, I'm not able to coordinate my mind, body, the breathing pattern is irregular, it means that I've met with an obstacle.
Richa ji, I'll just read that other one once more, just to make sure I've got it correct. So, dukkha daurmanasya angamejayatva shwasa prashwasaha vikshepa sahabhuvaha. That is what it is. And the next one is, this is a famous verse. It is Maitri Karuna Muditopekshanam Sukha Dukkha Punya Punya Vishayanam Bhavanata Bhavanataschitta Prasadanam.
Here it is said, how do we deal with people? So basically there are 4 kinds of people, or in every human being, there are these characteristics. Sometimes we see people as people who are happy. For example, what is the attitude we have for people who are happy? Cultivating an attitude of friendliness. People who are unhappy, cultivating an attitude of compassion. People who are doing good work, cultivating an happiness, cultivating an attitude of feeling happy for them. And people who are doing sinful acts, educating and ignoring them. So when we come across people who are happy or who are unhappy or who are doing good work or who are doing sinful work, if we can cultivate our mind to feeling friendly, to feeling compassionate for the unhappy people, to be able to, educating and ignore it if somebody does a sinful act, of feeling happy for people who are doing good work. This is how we make our chitta as a prasada. It becomes a graceful mind. So we don't get upset with different people having different kinds of qualities, but this is how we respond to people, and our mind becomes graceful in the entire process.
Prachardana vidharanabhyam va pranasya.
Here it talks about, again, that when the mind is disturbed, when the mind is not even, through the practice of pranayama, the restraining of the breath, the mind can be pacified.
avidya smita raga dvesha nivesha kleshaha.
Here it
The
talks
tune was
again.
not the best, but basically avidya asmita raga dvesha abhinivesha kleshaha.
So here in this Sutra 2.3 of the Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, it talks about the pain-bearing obstacles, that is ignorance. I am not aware that I am the self. That is ignorance. Asmita is egoism. Raga is attachment. Dvesha is aversion. And Abhinivesha is clinging to life, fear of death. So when we have these, the mind again becomes a ruffled mind. Just understanding how these things can actually ruffle the mind.
Te prati prasave, sorry, te prati prasava heyaha sukshmaha.
Here the mention of samskaras is there. Samskaras are the impressions that we all come with, the impressions that are stored in the subconscious level. They could be from this lifetime, they could be from the past lifetime. And these samskaras, they bubble up as vritti and in the conscious level. And if we act on the vritti, we strengthen the vritti, and that again becomes a samskara. So it is very important that in this sublime level, in the sukshma level, the samskaras need to be resolved. Yes, it talks about the impressions, because all that we act and do and speak is basically a resultant of our subconscious states. And that when it pops up, when it bubbles up in the form of vrittis that we can be aware of, we can really mitigate or reduce the cycle of samskaras going into vritti and vritti into samskara. The last one.
Vitarka badhane pratipaksha bhavanam.
Here it talks about that when a negative thought comes up, we replace it with something positive. When I'm aware of my own mind and I know that this negative tendency is coming up, at that time it is in a very weak state. But if I can replace it with, it is possible to change the quality of my thoughts. So here, through these 15, 16 shlokas, the whole idea was to just show how the mind has been understood, and that characteristic of the mind has been understood, and how to deal with the mind. Of course, there are so many other ways to handle the mind and to go beyond the mind. And all that most of us are aware, it is very popular now, of the techniques of meditation, the techniques of pranayama, the asana, the yamas and the niyamas, which is more of the mental discipline. All these, the Ashtanga Yoga, if you look at it, all these are ways to actually restrain the modulations of the mind. And that is why the mind, the thoughts, the emotions are all so deeply connected. And the whole revelation of the Yoga Sutras is very, very empowering, that I alone can be the master of my mind. I alone can cultivate my own mind. And there is a way, there is a discipline how to do that. That is the whole thing. And yes, it needs efforts, it needs understanding. And more than that, more than anything, it needs the practice. It really needs the practice. There is a very beautiful insight given by a saint, a popular saint from India. He says that if you go and stand on the lake and tell everybody that this is how you fish, the fish is not going to come in your hand. Unless you yourself get a fishing rod and you put the bait and you pull the fish, and that's how it is. So the whole journey of yoga, irrespective of the theoretical part, the most important is how much of it are we really practicing, preceded by a proper understanding on the right way to practice and it really works. It really can do wonders. It really can do wonders. So with this, since it's already 7:46, I think I've given uh, some kind of a outline on this dimension of yoga, and how it is such a beautiful philosophy and a practice that can really take all of us to higher levels of consciousness, to rebuild our consciousness, to really mitigate all the beliefs and the things that really pull us down. And it is oceanic. And the whole idea of this session was to make us feel very empowered that, yes, my life, my emotions has to be and can be cultured beautifully through this philosophy of yoga. So if we have time, we can do a beautiful meditation on transforming emotions by Gurudev. But I think that meditation, after that meditation, I'm not too sure if we can take questions. If we have time till 8:15, I think we can manage both. Otherwise, we can just take questions. But an experience of a meditation may be very nice for everyone. I leave it to Dr. Anu and Vinayji.
I'm wondering if we can possibly, so thank you very much first and foremost for that very clear elucidation of the process of looking at our emotions. First of all, understanding our identity, then understanding how the emotions rise, and how the Yoga Sutra very practically takes us step by step through a process of trying to control, understand our emotions, and then do something positively about it to pacify them. So I think what we could do is I will take on a few questions and maybe we can end with the meditation. That might be nicer. So we
Yes.
possibly take a few questions, maybe 2 or 3 questions, because there are quite a few coming in. Uh, and so I'll start by one from, shows an anonymous attendee. He says that, is there a difference in the management of emotions which are influenced by hormonal imbalances?
What happens is, if you really have been a practitioner of yoga for quite a long time and you are really advancing on that stage, then whatever is happening at the level of the body, one has the ability to even see that objectively. So there have been people who have been struck, I would say, with life challenging illnesses, but we have seen that they have no association with whatever is happening to their body. So it depends as to what stage of a practice are we in, and it is possible to dissociate what is happening to the body and seeing it very objectively. But if we are at the earlier stages of our practice and we are not grounded on the practice, what may happen is that, yes, external things and even our physiological changes may actually instigate certain kind of emotional responses.
Thank you. So there was another question, and this is pertaining to one of the sutras that you spoke about. Is a Sutra 31, where you talked about the Shwasa Prashwasa also as being an obstacle of yoga. So irregular breathing, which is an obstacle for yoga. You mentioned that we are happy. When we are happy, inhalation is long and exhalation is short. Why is that so? And should regular breathing mean that both inhalation and exhalation are equal? And doesn't a long exhalation help to induce relaxation? And what exactly is considered to be regular breathing and irregular breathing according to you?
Oh, there are
A package,
a lot of questions.
pranayama package.
Yeah, it is a natural tendency. See, whenever we are happy, we say, it's such a long breath. You just see in your life. Yeah? And the exhalation is short. But whenever we are very, very distressed, just check what happens. The inhalation is very short and the exhalation becomes long. So it's a natural, this is how, it's a natural cycle that happens. What is the second question? Why is it so I have no answer to that. This is how it is. Why do the eyes see and why do the ears see? It is something like that. It is like that. And what is the second question, Dr. Renu? There were too many questions. So
also that sometimes it is suggested that exhalation, longer exhalation allows the body, it induces relaxation. So what do you say about that? And just a continuation to that, what would you consider as a regular breathing and an irregular breathing?
see, breath is related. I will go to the second question first. Breath is related to our emotions. So whenever we are angry, we would have seen that our breath goes very fast. Or whenever we are not feeling up to the mark, feeling depressed, we'll see the breath is very shallow. And whenever we are happy, for no rhyme or reason, we'll see that the breath is very stable. So breath is linked to the emotions. And we know which emotion is a normal, which emotion makes us feel good when we are relaxed. And what is the breathing at that time? The breathing at that time is deep, stable. So what is a good breathing or a regular breathing, a normal breathing? When the breath is stable. It is not fast, it is not shallow. Yes. And a long exhalation can induce relaxation. In pranayam, in different kinds of pranayams, the inhalation, exhalation, yes. For example, when we do 3-stage pranayam, the inhalation is up to 4 counts, the stopping of the breath is for 4 counts, and we exhale for 6 counts, and then it rotates, yes. So different pranayams may have different kind of breaking points, I would say, of the breath, wherein sometimes the inhalation is longer and the exhalation is longer than the inhalation. That is how it is. And yes, they work in that manner.
Thank you for that explanation. We have Prasadji who's asking that when simply reading any literature or newspaper, my eyes are watering automatically. Actually, there's no proper reason for it. And the same thing is repeated when I'm talking to others, even for simple soft words. With this, I'm unable to mingle with people and I'm feeling embarrassed. Would you like to propose a solution for this?
Eyes are watering when you are reading a literature. It depends on what kind of a literature are you reading, and what are the exchange that you're having with people. It is important to understand that. If it is
a general, from what I understand in the question, there is a general enhanced degree of sensitivity to things. So sometimes people are very sensitive and tears can come very easily to their eyes. So I'll just maybe broaden out his question if that was his question, but I'd like to broaden it out and ask you how you would like to answer that. That when people become very sensitive to things, then it also becomes awkward to be in public, interactions, because then if you start crying and there is no apparent reason, then
yes.
People can misunderstand you. So
Sometimes if we are feeling emotional or at a very frequent level for no rhyme or reason, and if it continues and persists, it is important to maybe talk to somebody and see why it is happening. Once in a while, feeling some kind of an emotion and then being able to come out of it and feeling centered, that is good, that is ideal. But if I'm feeling emotional at any kind of a trigger or a stimulus, and it happens at a very frequent level, it may be a good idea to talk to a friend or a confidant to see why is it triggering that kind of an emotion, I would say. Yeah. And anything that doesn't allow me to feel natural with people, anything which is constricting me, also could be a sign that certain things may need to loosen out in me so that I feel natural with everybody. Our swabhava, like how we were as children, no? We felt so natural and normal with everybody. There were no walls because the mind was so clear, so pure. So if we are feeling walled, if we are feeling not natural with people around us, it is good to talk to somebody and see why is this happening and what is constricting. Yeah.
Thank you. So we have another question by one of our very regular attendees, Debraji. So she's asking, what is the process by which the mind knows what is necessary? We accept the knowledge, yet an equal force within rejects the knowing and projects one along a trajectory that leads to pain. So she's saying it's a tough question, but this is very similar to the dilemma that Duryodhana has, where he's saying Janami dharmam nachame pravritti. I know what is right and I'm unable to do it, and Janami adharman nachame nivritti. I'm unable to do. I can see what's wrong and unable to do it. Then he says Kenapi devena hridhi sthitena. There is some kind of a force that is pushing me. Yatha niyuktosmi tatha karomi, and I'm compelled to do that, even if it leads towards pain. So your thoughts on that, please.
Yeah. See, when we know that this is good, but I'm not able to do it, for example, one way to look into that situation is the short-term gain versus the long-term pain, or the short-term pain versus the long-term gain. So every situation can be seen from that lens, that my action or inaction to this situation, is it a short-term pleasure and a long-term pain, or is it a short-term pain but a long-term gain? For example, waking up in the morning, very difficult, right? Short-term gain, maybe, but long-term, maybe the day is not so productive enough. And then I invoke that spirit of valor. I need to get up and I need to do what I have to do. So on and so forth. So this could be one way to cultivate the mind, to be able to see what is short-term, what is long-term, and then working in that direction. That could be one way to look at things. And yes, whenever we know, the second way is that whenever I know that this is good for me, and suddenly a counter mind stuff comes up and stops me there. So rather than acting on this mind stuff that is stopping me there, we push ourselves not to listen to this mind stuff. It comes with practice. Therefore, it is an abhyasa. It needs a resolve. It needs a resolve. And it does happen. After a while, it starts to happen. Yeah, it starts to happen. And that is why the right company of people, the right food, the sattvic environment, sattvic ahara, what am I seeing, what am I hearing? All these things also really help to project the mind to another level. It helps.
Yes, very beautiful. So we have another regular attendee, Anjan Nandiji, who's saying, can you please explain the meaning of cognitive mind in a simple way, as this word is used in different sessions? So just a little more clarity on what cognition and, is a little bit.
Okay, see, cognition is basically the mental processes. The very fact that you're talking to me now, the very fact that you're able to remember something and speak about it now, memory, language, perception, attention, the very fact that you're able to pay attention to something now. So there is some kind of a functioning that is happening, right, which is making us act and do things the way we are doing. There is something which is happening internally, that is why we are able to have this attention or not have this attention, have this perception, not have this perception. There is something happening in me that makes me very creative. Something is happening inside. So all these mental processes are under this larger umbrella of cognition, cognitive processes, simple mental processes that leads to certain behavior. Got it?
I think sometimes we use these technical terms and it's nice to demystify them so that it's easily graspable. And being a psychologist, you would be the best person to put it into those simpler words. Yes.
All the mind stuff that happens, different kinds of things are happening. We are perceiving, we are speaking, we have an attention, we have a memory. So many operational things are happening. That is all known as cognitive processes, mental processes, cognitive. And then we have the affective process, that is the emotional process. They are psychological terms.
Yeah. Thank you very much. So now we just take a decision here. I can inform them about tomorrow's program, And then we can take the details, your contact details, so that people know how to reach out to you, etc. You give your message, and then we can have the meditation, so that we close on that note. But if you feel that you would like to say something after Gurudev's meditation, then we can have the meditation right now, and then we can move on to announcements, etc. And then your message. What do you
I
say?
think it would be nice if we can do the announcements and the message first. So after the meditation, they may be in a silent zone, may not want to listen to anything else. So maybe we could do that first and then have the meditation.
Yes. So may I request Kotiji to please put up the announcement for tomorrow's programs? Thank you. So tomorrow morning, we have a session by Anupama Das ji, and she'll be talking on pranayama, connect with your breath. And it very beautifully ties in with this evening session where Richa ji talked about the importance of the breath and the role that it plays in this whole journey of pacifying one's emotions. So that's very beautiful. And then in the evening, we will have a kind of conversation with Kavita Srinivasanji and me, and it will be on how to heal childhood trauma and live a more aligned life. It's all in this, in the direction, in the focus of this particular festival, which is about promoting deeper healing and healing from our past experiences also. So please join us for tomorrow's sessions. Richa ji, there are many, I'm sure, who'd like to know more about your work. So if you could please let us know how they can reach you in the best way possible.
Yeah, basically, my background is psychology, and being with Gurudev Shri Ravi Shankarji in the last 20 years, the whole journey has been very experiential about really understanding my whole mind body construct and being able to really work on myself. I was not like this at all 20 years back. And it did not take me one day to really start understanding my mind and creating a distance and watching my mind and seeing it objectively. It was an uphill journey, but yes, I can assure that it really worked well. If with that sincerity, it is really possible to cultivate your emotions and mind. And I think that is the only legitimate thing on this planet, to have this beautiful container that is our mind, so beautifully crafted so that it can really be responsive to all vicissitudes of life. That centeredness is so important, and it only happens when I take this as my priority of my life. So, and then everything happens through you, because the mind is not at a struggle, it becomes your best friend. Otherwise the mind can be the worst enemy. If it is not in control, if it is all the time out, it can really become your worst enemy. So my last message to everybody is that life is too short, very transient, and we really do not know when each one of us may just pop out of this world like bubbles. It is really important to invest in the mind more than investment in anything else. And it is really possible to cultivate and culture our mind. We have the philosophy of yoga, we have the practice of yoga, we have beautiful teachers, we have so many seekers who have walked this path. If the mind and emotions are really to be well managed, and one is really serious about it, I'm sure all of us want a fantastic state of mind, no matter what. I'm sure everybody wants that, right? To be the masters of a mind. So please start walking on this journey. And if you're already walking, intensify the journey to really become more and more observant of your mind stuff and start handling all the nooks and crooks of the mind. I can be reached on richa.chopra at artofliving.org. That is my email ID, richa.chopra at artofliving.org. And in any manner, if I can enable anybody's journey especially through the practice part, because that has been the strength, I will be very happy to do so. But take care of yourself and be happy.
Yes, Richa ji, and also knowing how passionate you are about promoting Indian knowledge systems and trying to help many people, as many people, to connect with the knowledge that India has had to share, I think in the domain of even self-governance, in many other domains. So thank you very much for your words of wisdom at the end and asking us to start the journey sooner than later. So, thank you.
Yeah,
I
only this will go, I believe, in our next lifetime. The state of our mind is is what is going to go with us, nothing else.
Yes. So we have Vinayji is there and Hariji is there also. Would you like to say anything, Hariji or Vinayji, before we move on to the meditation and close the session?
No, I just joined. Please carry on.
All right. Okay. Thank you. So I would now request Kotiji to play the meditation, and soon after, because Richa said you don't want to come in after that, so we'll close the session with the meditation, and then end it thereafter that. So thank you very much, and look forward to your joining us tomorrow. Please, this is an important journey that we take on every year, and we request you to share this with your friends so that more can benefit from the wise words of a lot of our resource persons who are people who have gone through different kinds of experiences and are here to share the nectar of their findings. So look forward to continuing this journey together. With these words, Kotiji, could you please share the meditation video?
Thank you, Dr.
The,
Anuradha.
the
And
video of the meditation. Yes, thank you very much, Richa ji.
thank you so much for arranging this. I know it's a prasada for everybody. And hats off to all of you. Thank you so much. It's such a seva. In the meditation, we could close the eyes and we can just maybe silence our phone and keep the lights off and just be guided. It's a guided meditation by Gurudev Shri Shri Ravi Shankarji on transforming emotions. So an experience of meditation on transforming our emotions. Remember, the practice is more important than anything else. So let's enjoy the meditation, and thank you so much once again.
Let's sit comfortably and easily. And let's close our eyes. Let's take a deep breath in and breathe out with a harsh sound. Once again, breathe in and breathe out through the mouth. Incoming breath energizes the body, and outgoing breath relaxes the body. Breathe in once again and slowly breathe out. As you breathe out, relax your arms, shoulders. Let's take our attention to our navel region. Have all your attention to the navel, stomach, abdomen, liver, this region. Breathe in. As you breathe in, expand your stomach. And as you breathe out, pull your navel in. Squeeze your tummy. Once again, breathe in and bloat your stomach. And back your navel. And relax. Become aware of the weight of your body. Once again, take a deep breath in. And as you slowly exhale, place the entire weight of your body on the chair or on the floor you are sitting. Become aware of any unpleasant feelings, sensation. And just accept them. Do not try to get rid of any unpleasant feelings. Little more attention in your navel area. Let this feeling of jealousy, loss, betrayal just be there. Let it consolidate. Let any negative feeling that is there solidify as you breathe in and breathe out. Breathe in and breathe out. Accept all these negative emotions. Let them be there. With a smile on your face, take another deep breath in and breathe out. Breathe in with a smile and breathe out with a smile. If you're feeling a sense of loss, grief, jealousy, or love, just let it be. Have your attention on the stomach, liver, abdomen, navel areas. Observe your breath. It's either steady or shaky. It's either warm or cool. Take a few deeper breaths and keep relaxing your whole body. Dive into that sense of loss. Embrace any negative feelings and sensation with both your arms. Embrace all the negative feelings, restlessness, discomfort. Once again, take a deep breath with a smile and breathe out with a smile. We're not in a hurry to get rid of any stress or strain. We'll assimilate the stress and transform them. Few more deep breaths. For our breath can bring metamorphosis. It can change all the negative feelings into peace and harmony. Become aware of your mind. Your mind is surrounding the body and pervading every particle of your body. are in and outside the body. Our attention can transform mud to gold, coal to diamond, and all negative feelings can become peace and compassion. Keep your attention on the navel region and observe any pleasant or unpleasant sensation. Deeper breath in and relax. Let every particle of our being be peaceful. Let every cell in our body be rested this very moment. Another deep breath in, and as you breathe out, relax, move. Let go all your efforts and simply relax. शन्नो अस्तु द्विपदे शं चतुष्पदे ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः. And slowly and gradually become aware of body and surroundings. Take another deep breath in, and as you breathe out, relax even more. Once again, take a deep breath in, and as you slowly breathe out, may open your eyes.